everybody, it's Miss Amber and I am outside in my yard as it is a lovely spring evening. Today I want to talk to you about living and non-living things. Anouk and I went for a walk this week, and first I'd like to share with you some of the things that we collected. Okay, here's the first thing. Moss. Moss grows on rocks. In our yard it grows in shady, wet spots in the grass. Moss is a plant. Something else we found was a twig with little sprouts on it. There are the sprouts. Next we have a pine cone from a pine tree. We also found a reflector in the driveway. That was probably from a bike, but it could have even been from a car. Reflectors are made of plastic, and people make them in factories. Finally, we found a piece of pot. This is made of terracotta, which is like a clay, and people usually plant flowers in them. So you'll start to see those when you go on walks with your family. Now, I would like your help to sort the things that we found into living and non-living things. Here we go. Here's my rug. First, I'm going to make a label. This says living. I'll put it right here. And this says non-living. I'll put it right here. Let's remember the difference between living and non-living things. Living things can grow. They can reproduce. That means to make more. If it's an animal, it can have babies, but a plant might make a seed that can make more plants. Let's see. What else? Living things, if they are an animal, they could breathe. They also eat food or consume food to make energy, and they can die. Non-living things cannot die, and they cannot eat food. They cannot reproduce or make more of themselves, and sometimes they can live forever, like in the case of rocks. All right, so let's start with our first piece. Here's my moss. What do you think? Is that living or not living? It can grow. It absorbs food from the sunlight and from water. And it can die. In the summer, it will probably dry out and won't be able to grow in our yard anymore. What do you think? It's living. Moss is a living thing. Next, we have my piece of pottery. This is from a terracotta pot. Can a terracotta pot eat food? No. A terracotta pot is not living. I'll put it here. Here's more moss to put by our living. Next, we have a twig. This twig came from a lilac bush. That's a plant. A lilac bush can grow, it can flower and produce seeds, and it can make food from the sunlight and from water. It's living. I'll put it by living. And next I have our reflector. The reflector cannot grow, it cannot make more of itself, it cannot eat food, and it was made by someone in a factory. It's not living. Let's put it here. And finally, we have our pine cone. Our pine cone came from a pine tree. Is it living or not living? Trees can grow, they make food from sunlight, and they can make more of themselves from their seeds. It's living. All right, boys and girls, those were some living and non-living things. Go out into your yards next time you play outside and start to collect things. And then at home with your families, you can sort them into living and non-living things. All right, see you next time.